Okay, we've got to talk about the UFO battle over Moscow. Earlier today, I shared footage of this apparent UFO incursion over Moscow and the Russians shooting at this object. Well, now new video angles and information has become known to me, so let's talk about it. Is it trailing smoke behind it, or is that just a camera artifact, or is that the smeary trails that some UFOs will leave behind them? Did they hit it, and is it trailing smoke? What's going on? What are we looking at with this crazy footage? Well, there's new information from an article from The Sun, and Chumbles sent me this, so thank you, Chumbles. I appreciate that. Watch terrified Russians blast mystery rumbling UFO helicopter over Moscow, making beeline for Vlad. But what is it? This is the eerie moment terrified Russians shoot at a mysterious UFO helicopter darting over Moscow. The ominous drone, and interesting how they go back and forth from drone to helicopter, it was blasted by paranoid Russian air defenses as they suffered a separate drone strike early on Thursday. Yeah, and you can see the zoom in of this object. Again, you can see that trail that it's leaving behind it. Terrified Russians blasted at mystery rumbling UFO. Yeah, okay, there we go. Sinister footage shows a strange rotating object spinning over the Moscow region. It has a red ochre and is surrounded by a spinning white circular shell. Then in a dramatic scene, Mad Vlad's air defense systems appear to blast toward the drone, attempting to take it out. They clearly miss a lot of their shots as the undamaged aircraft seemingly carries on. The body appears to separate from the rotating wings, which are also emitting small particles in their path. Some suspected the red and white spinning aircraft was one of Ukraine's new helicopter drones. One war channel said the bizarre aircraft might be a helicopter type RZ-500 or something similar. But the RZ-500 has a maximum range of 186 miles, which is not far enough to reach Moscow. Russians were then mocked by several Ukrainian reports over the brazen volley of fire into the night sky over Naro-Forminsk. One Ukrainian military channel claimed the aircraft was a Russian helicopter. The channel said Russian air defense near Moscow tried to take down its own helicopter, mistaking it for enemy UAV. Another report claimed, it's a helicopter, dumbass. In the Moscow region, they were hunting drones so hard that they almost shot down their own helicopter. There were no reports of a helicopter or a drone being downed, nor damage from a drone explosion hitting a target. Yeah, I think that if they were shooting at a helicopter with that many bullets, they probably would have hit the helicopter and brought it down. Just my 2 cents. I also don't think it was a drone, because if it was a conventional drone, it would have been a war drone, most likely, and would have inflicted damage. And as the article says, no damage. But if this is indeed an anomalous object, whose is it? Is it the phenomenons? Is it actually ET or other dimensional or ultra-terrestrial or something like that? Is it NHI? Or is it one of ours? Is it a U.S. UFO, a ARV, a reproduction vehicle? President Trump just the other day was talking about how we have very fancy technology. We have exotic weaponry that nobody would understand.
And I think we'll end up making a very good deal for both. But, we've been treated so badly for so many years. Again, we allowed that to happen. We've been treated so badly for so many years. But no, I don't expect that. I think President Xi is one of the very smart people of the world. And I don't think he'd allow that to happen. And we're very powerful. This country is very powerful. Let me tell you, it's far more powerful than people understand. We have weaponry that nobody has any idea what it is, and it is the most powerful weapons in the world that we have. More powerful than anybody, not even close. So nobody's going to do that, but I think that if that's what you're referring to, maybe it's not. But
more powerful than anyone understands. Now, if we take him literally, that might mean that it really is a very exotic technology that we have. And I am absolutely sure the control group has exotic technology. I don't know if that's available to the rest of the government or military, though. Maybe it is, maybe it's not. Either way, I'm sure that they do have some advanced weaponry we don't know about. I think that's probably what he's suggesting here. He's probably not talking about actual alien weapons or alien-derived weapons, but of course, you never know. Of course, Trump says a lot of stuff. Is this just him saying stuff? Of course, sometimes when he says stuff, he seems to be saying stuff to a purpose. Here, it seems to be letting China know that we are very powerful and not to be trifled with. Which is a political point or a national security point, I suppose. But could there be more behind his statement? Meanwhile, this is an older quote, but I found it really interesting. General Stephen Quast from Space Force saying that we have the technology, if we would only use it, if we would only put it together, to get anywhere in the planet in an hour.
This technology can be built today with technology that is not developmental to deliver any human being from any place on planet Earth to any other place in less than an hour.
Okay, yeah, it's not developmental. We actually have this technology. It's not theoretical. Yeah, so why aren't we using this? Of course, he's not the first person to have said such things. We do seem to have this technology. Obviously, we have our own UFOs, most likely. But I don't know if he's specifically talking about that or other technologies that can be used for this sort of purpose. Really significant, I think, that he is saying this publicly. And I hope that as we get further along with UFO disclosure, that some of these technologies do come out to play. Because, man, wouldn't it be cool to pop over to Rome for an afternoon and come back for dinner? Well, is this what he was talking about? Was he giving us a heads up, or giving Vlad a heads up that stuff was coming, and that they were not prepared to deal with it, and there was nothing they could do to counter it? Is that what was going on? That threat seemed to be aimed at China, but could it have been aimed at Russia instead? Was it indeed ours? Well, I think a good way to tell if it was ours, and here I'm making something of a prediction here. If this was a human-flown UFO, from the U.S., then I would expect there to be some change in Russia's policies going forward. This would be a deliberate attempt by the U.S. to influence Russian policy and to bring Russia to the peace table. So if this was one of ours, I would expect Putin to, again, come to the peace table and to be more willing to sign some sort of treaty with Ukraine and for the war to stop in the very near future, if indeed this was one of ours. And that'd be really interesting if that happened, because of Trump's comments that would seem to indicate that that order came from Trump to send this exotic technology over Moscow to show them what we have and to make a big display of it. And you can't shoot us, at least you can't bring us down. So what you going to do about it? You better come to the peace table or else. So yeah, that would indicate that Trump is not only aware of our black programs, but has some way to harness it. He is actually able to direct it and to say, hey, Lockheed, hey, Area 51, who's ever craft this is, if it's government or if it's private contractors, do what I say and send this craft over Moscow, which would be really interesting if the president does indeed still have influence over the UFO control group. Because I've, read various pieces of information before that seems to suggest the UFO control group, the secrecy surrounding it began with the president, maybe back in the 50s. But, over time those operations seem to have gone rogue. And now we have the UAP Disclosure Amendment from a couple of years ago trying to exert eminent domain over the private contractors to get what they have. So there is a rogue element to some of this. But if it can indeed be directed by the president, that would be really interesting and significant, I think. But if Russia doesn't come to the peace table, if nothing changes in Russian policy going forward, then I think we're looking at something more NHI. Unless, of course, this can be shown to be a Ukrainian, helicopter or drone, or Russia shooting at their own stuff. Obviously, we're in the fog of war, literally, in all of this. So we will, see what shakes out. Is this a mundane object that Russia mistakenly was firing at, but somehow unable to bring down? Hey, totally possible. Or is this something more anomalous, whether that's coming from NHI or from us?